Hey guys, this is Rainwolf, and we're on episode 6 of 86.
Hey guys, Kirido Silverheart here.
Asana Silverheart.
And this is Lyria.
So I'm going to say one word, all the flipping that happens in this, the motion of feels from jumping
My
from one moment to next.
yeah, my God, this episode was a roller coaster.
There was quite a bit going on.
And so this episode starts off with Shin, well, a young Shin at that, in his unit. He gets out, and it's in a library by the looks of it.
Yeah. Which would explain the books.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. It could be the City Hall archives.
It was a little weird. It threw me off at first, and then I realized it was a flashback when he turned and we saw his face. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it really threw me for a loop because I was like, what is going on here? It's like I didn't expect this type of something to happen.
Like very first impression of seeing him getting out of a mech inside a room that looked like a library was, oh, so this is where he gets all of his books. And he's just, we saw in one
I
episode
will
where
laugh if all
he
those
put
books
them
he has.
in. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it would kind of make sense. But yeah, we saw him put one back in his vault when he was done reading it. And I was like, oh, maybe he's going to get something new to read.
I feel that.
That's where Lyria would go if there was an apocalypse.
Yeah, I would go to the book vault.
So we also got a very more detailed look of Dullahan's emblem. I could see where I made the mistake last week or the week before, when they brought up his brother at first, because the only difference there is to their icon is their scarf and what the skeleton is holding.
The shovel opposed to the sword.
Yep. And the scarf hit Shin's is blue and does like a zigzag motion around his body, and his brother's is just a little loop.
Yeah. His brother's is more of like a flag. And so it almost looks like a knight with like the flag that he's carrying and like the sword. If you ask me. And then his, yeah, like you said, he has like the scarf and the shovel.
So after we see this Shin looking at the icon, it pans out a little bit, and then it pans to the corpse of Shin's brother, and it has
missing its head.
Yeah, the skeletal, his remains.
And the way they pan this and transition this, and it just like, all right, this is what you get. Opening.
Yeah, it's real quick, but damn, does it hit.
It was definitely an emotional moment because he even says brother, and it was really sad.
So as we're going, they're in the Juggernaut, so obviously they're going into battle of some sort. But as one of the words that, forget what his name is actually because he hasn't been brought up in a while. The one that got in trouble with the girls at the
Daya.
Daya, yes. And he's like, oh, that spot. And they bring it up that this is the spot they had pretty much a picnic when they first were forming as a unit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that's when it turned over into actually, it shows what happened, and it was like a year previous, I believe, exactly like 1 year almost.
Yeah, because everybody at this point is pretty much a fourth year at this point, from what they are saying. And then they're having a conversation. It's like, obviously, the three knuckleheads, like any of the girls that you're looking at, huh? Then he brings up Anju. Then Laughing Fox walks over, calls over for Anju.
No, doesn't necessarily call out for Anju. It just screams out, Daya wants to hook up with Anju. And Anju hears her name and something about Daya and walks over and was like, hey, did you call for me? And he was like, yeah, it's a sausage fest over here. So I thought, maybe save me.
That's a very great way to try to bring a girl over.
I'm not gonna lie, I love the breath of levity in this segment.
I agree.
Because
of all the heaviness
we've had a lot of dark stuff going on for the last few episodes, especially, and this just breath of light and levity, seeing everybody, get to know each other and commingle. I mean, even Shin looks way more laid back in this scene.
He's a little more open in this moment. We also see some people that have actually already passed away in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And then I find it funny when they bring up about, in this case, but they don't say a name, but it's probably Lena. Because if you notice the art of the pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think around the time that they were forming as a unit, Lena was just she had just gotten her promotion,
Mhm.
and her
And they
first
had heard
promotion.
things from
Yeah.
and they're all from different units. So they have heard things from other units or from themselves that they were in the unit that she was in charge of.
Yeah, I mean, this is some people were already kind of members of Spearhead, it seems like, but it seems like they were like doing their usual every time that there's a new handler, they reconfigure the units.
Mhm.
Just like when Lena left Pleiades,
Yeah, so they can have a
she
full
said the
unit
unit will be reconfigured with a new handler.
and then give or take maybe a few new members.
Yeah. Replenishing ranks or, transferring people in and out just because of seniority or maybe battle expertise or something like that.
Then it transfers over to pretty much Daya and the dog dancing. Then he grabs Andrew. Andrew joins in with Daya. Daya's blushing a little slight moment. Then, crap, the one girl that has passed away already.
Hirschblut.
She goes up to Shin. It's like, are you sure they're not drunk? It's all just water, right? It's like, I guess so.
Kaye.
Kaye, with her actual name. She goes into explaining the story. Pretty much, we don't know this at the point, but we obviously, if you know what her name was beforehand, thanks to Lyria last week,
Yay, me.
bringing up that her name is the translation is cherry blossom
In German.
in bold, and she's like, "Oh, I even made it my mark." She asks, "What's your mark and what's your story behind it?" Right? I think so. She just goes into a quiet tone of pretty much kind of remembering his past. Then somebody that we don't know brings up, "Hey, you two lovebirds, come join in on the fun." And then, and by the looks of it, they know about Shin's ability to be able to hear them, or one of them does.
It looks like it's people that he's already been in a squad with before.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like we talked about, it's repositioning assets into different squads.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have a mix of people who were either already in a unit together or had been in a unit before, but then got separated. Now they're back together, things like that. So his ability that he's had, we're assuming for a very long time, is already going to make its way around the camps.
Yeah. And if when they're painting across everybody, I don't know if anybody else notices. There's one guy just in a random Santa suit.
Saw him, yes.
I did not see him actually.
If you want to go back, it's like between 813 and 832.
That's interesting.
It threw me off at first, but now I was like, well, I noticed it at last when I was watching it originally, and then I'm like, didn't really process it. Then this time when I'm actually recovering over it, I'm like, wait a second, why is there a guy in a Santa suit? But oh well.
That's very weird and random.
Black Dog walks up. It's like, you're sure popular. I'm counting on you.
Okay, so I actually have a correction to make. That's not Black Dog. That's Werewolf. Black Dog is Daya.
Oh, wait. So we've.
Yeah, we
I
got
thought
it
he
wrong.
introduced himself as.
Maybe it was a mess up or something, but according to this episode and according to double checking the wiki, that his handle is Werewolf and Daya is Black Dog.
Huh.
And we'll get to the scene, but I'll point it out when they actually call that out.
I'm gonna have to go scrolling through some episodes because if that's the case, we probably had
may have had a translational error.
Yeah. I wonder if they notice it now because it's kind of sad to note because if it is a translational issue, that's gonna be interesting to be found 6 episodes into a series that's only 11 episodes.
Yeah.
And now they go back out and it's them standing there in their unit Shin, then it kicks into battle. And this is a brutal battle.
Yeah, this was hardcore. Like, this is beast mode on crack.
Pretty much the Legion had learned how they attack. So they were tearing trees down and destroying the terrain. So they had no place to hide.
Yeah, and so once they had nowhere to hide, they had set up pretty much this zone where it's like when they were chasing them out, they were able to attack.
Yeah, and what's even worse is they even brought in
suicide bombers
units well, they brought in assault units from other command units. They actually called out that the Scorpions were actually from a completely different unit. They weren't
Region
even
80,
involved
I
in
think
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From 6th Platoon by the looks of it, from what I'm seeing now. So one of the girls gets flipped out her leg. She gets shot. She doesn't get directly hit, but she gets hit pretty much hard enough from a off blast that her leg, one of her legs comes off. She goes over the ledge, and when she lands, she tumbles over. But what's even worse is that she bashes her head into the back of her cockpit.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's not really noticeable, but there is blood back there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and on top of that, the not the ear clip for the para raid, but that side one that they wear on the left, when they're in the actual juggernauts, that popped off her head and everything.
Oh yeah,
I mean, her dome got rocked.
Yeah.
In that impact.
As right before Daya jumps out to try to go save her, you see Andrew coming out of a ditch somewhere because her unit pretty much be unusable now. And then Daya jumps out. He tries to go save her. He gets shot, sent flying back. And then now we have these humanoid-looking units with one eye. That ends up
I need to find out. I need to find out what these are called, because those things were just devastating and creepy AF.
They were very creepy. And it's almost as if they were looking at you, because there was this moment where it kind of
the moment right before the detonation where he says Andrew, and then all you see is his lips move. And I think a lot of people probably know what those words were, but does anyone take a shot?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was saying "I love you" or something like even "I'm sorry" maybe, but definitely think it was "I love you."
Yeah, because of the way Andrew definitely after the explosion, you see flip straight over to Andrew, and you see the look in her eyes that she gets. And it's an amount of shock. She pulls her pistol, or no, not even her. No, that's not her. But it jumps over to the girl that was
Burnt Tail.
Burnt Tail's the one that was the girl that was injured.
And the steps she takes, well, the commitment she has, but also knowing that the commitment a lot of the unit has to have, and knowing what to do in certain situations.
Yeah, she actually pulls, because she has one of the robots coming toward her, and she pulls her gun on it, and she is shooting at it.
Mm-hmm. And the whole time on the comms, you hear that gunslingers hollering at her saying, I can make it to you. I can fire on them from above. And somebody else radios back, they'll just shoot you out. Don't even attempt it, Gunslinger. And Laughing Fox is trying to figure out if he can circle back. Mock Hair's trying to get in there.
Yep.
And
the last words are Reaper cuts the comms, pulls the trigger.
Yeah, she says, "I'm counting on you, Reaper." Cuts comm, pulls trigger into her own head.
Yep. And you notice how the Legion unit reacted at that
Yeah,
moment.
As soon as it smashed her Juggernaut, it stood there and it was like it was examining her to make sure that, oh yeah, there's no viable resource here. Okay, moving on.
Yep. And this looks like one of the assault units by the looks of it. But then as it's walking away, it gets blown to bits. Then it goes over to Shin, talking to everybody. He's like,
he tells Mockhair to come back and then orders Snow Witch, aka Anju, to take command in place of Black Dog. And this is what I was talking about. This is when they say this, and when Daya jumps out to go try and save Burnt Tail, they say, "Black Dog, get the hell out of there!" Right before he gets blown up.
And then this is where we see a side of Andrew we have not seen before. Really, she's biting her lip and she's just sitting there. You don't see any tears, but knowing that now she has to take command, but also the emotions she's trying to hold back to be able to push out the fight for the time being. It's rough one, very rough.
Yeah, and again, we get another lip movement without audio right before she starts biting down on her lip and fighting back her emotions. And it's like she was trying to get something out and couldn't. Whether that was maybe regret over Daya, or she was getting ready to issue a command and just couldn't muster up the words to do it right then because she had to fight back her tears or something. I don't know, but
or two very close friends, because who knows the connection she has with Burnt Tail.
Yeah.
And this is where a situation that kind of hits Lena in a way, because now the battle's over, Shin is sitting in front of Dai's unit, and he brings up to it's like, if I told you to cut your para raid, would you? It's like you've never seen a person shot before. So he's trying to warn her, but also he's in a way trying to also prepare her for what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And you see Daya is still alive. To see him like that, definitely with what we've seen as his character, it's a little hard.
It was difficult because he had a bunch of just comic relief, like happy scenes. So you go from that to what we had to see was quite sad.
Then he's still trying to explain to Lena, it's like, cut the lead, but it's my responsibility as a handler. Then he's like, all right, then pulls the. Well, he doesn't say anything, but he gives a little motion of okay, then pulls the trigger. And then
And
there's
then
a
we get
reaction Shin has after pulling
yeah,
the
then
trigger.
we get a massive reaction from Shin, and it's a pure fear moment. Like, this is a pure fear and shock moment, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like, what would cause, because we know the expressions he has towards his brother currently. So more than likely, his brother had outreached and was controlling probably these units.
That was what I was thinking too.
Because there's nothing that Shin fears but his brother. So now we're back in the mess hall. They had finished their meal. Andrew's lifting the pot. Laughing Fox and them are trying to help her. It's like, no, just be fine. Laughing Fox tries to reach out really, but you just see the dark look on Andrew's face. He's like, no, I can carry it myself. So she's just trying to keep to herself, but also to handle the pain she is going through currently.
Then you have 3 of the girls in the unit who had went to Burnt Tail's room, and they were staring at her stuff and the empty space in her bed, and kind of just, I guess, just dealing with the realization of it. And they're like, let's just go throw some darts, try to take their mind off of it and process.
So now we have Shin and Werewolf. They're walking down the hall. Just some questions of when it's to happen. We'll still fight even if you're the last one until you make a grave for your brother. So even he knows either he knows Shin's past fully or he knows bits and pieces of it. He sits there in the room. He's carved in the names for the 2 plates. Then he pulls out his brother's. So he's been doing this for a while.
And I think it started with his brother.
I think so too. I
Mhm.
feel like it did. Like he started when his brother passed, so he started collecting those. Because if his brother's the first one he found
Mhm.
when he first started doing this, then it started. He was the first person he technically lost
Mhm.
at that time because he was really young. So that means he started with the first person he lost, and then kept after that.
Then goes back to the scene. Pretty much his brother, headless. The unit, the Juggernaut, moving now and everything. Pretty much hallucinating in a way.
Well, and before that, it cuts the beginning of this flashback right after he pulled the trigger on Daya. When he turned around and had that fear reaction,
Mhm.
he hears his brother's voice say his name. So there's our confirmation right there.
Yeah. Then right before it hits the title card for this episode, he's getting choked out, and his brother saying it's all your fault, all because of your sin. And you see Shin with the pistol pointing it, but he's shaking the whole time. And then we get the title card through to the end.
Yeah, and to go into that scene with his brother choking him a little bit more. This is part of the information I said I found out about a couple episodes back when we were talking about his scar. So basically, what happened was we find out that, or at least in the research and in the light novels and stuff, his whole family has been put through this battle. It's a system where the oldest or most responsible member of the family, aka like the father, would be drafted first for service. So his father became an 86 processor, and he got pulled in the battle. He died. Then the mother got drafted, pulls into battle, gets killed. Now it's his brother's turn because he's the next in the lineage.
End
And
of age, technically.
yeah, So he's next in the line. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter the age.
Oh,
He's pulled in. He's like, you're next in line.
well,
So
yeah,
you're the next
I
in the
can see where
family.
the age doesn't matter because of the young image, the little young Shin we get.
Yeah. I mean, Shin called it out, an episode or two ago. You don't have any 86 left to fight. You're down to the damn kids. You're pulling kids off the street and putting them into a war unit to fight.
Yeah.
And now it's his brother's turn, and I think he was about in his late teens when he got drafted, and he completely loses his mind and blames everything on Shin and assaults him for it. There's more details, obviously, in the light novel, and you can find it on the wiki. I don't know if you want me to go into it a little bit more.
I would say if people are more interested in the series as like we are, to do some digging, look into it, or even just
it's well worth the reads. It's well worth the reads. There's way more information, and it's possible we might get this information later in the anime, which I'm really
we only
hoping
have
we
5
do.
episodes left.
Even still, even if it's flashback segments that just build it a little bit more. But yeah, so he blames Shin that the entire family is dead and he's next. So that's what that whole scene was about.
After the title card, we have a little shortcake. It says happy birthday on it. So come to find out, it is Lena's birthday.
Happy birthday.
And she asks like it's a real egg, but you see the expression this is pretty much after the whole situation of seeing Shin put down Daya.
Mm-hmm.
It was fake eggs and real strawberries.
And it was a weird, and there's also tension, I think, with their friendship too. So it was like you could feel the whole interaction felt a lot different than what you normally see. They both seemed a little bit more distant.
Yeah. She brings up the comment of her current engagement partner.
The much older guy.
Nicholas.
That's about to croak by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she sent Lena a rocking chair, and Lena's like, "Why a rocking chair? Like, what made you think I'd like that?" And she's like, "Oh, it's something I thought you might like." And she's like, "Actually, it was a gift from this old dude, and I just gave it
And it's
to
a great
you."
spot to take a nap during the day.
And Lena even calls it out. She was like, "It seemed like something somebody much older would have gotten me."
And I mean, but their friendship, it's like it's the same song and dance they normally do.
Yeah.
But it is getting a different vibe to it now.
They're really more of a different vibe.
I'm starting to think that Annette is really starting to know that that Lena is focusing way too much on the 86, and she was like, to hell with everybody in the Republic. If they're not going to treat the 86s the way I treat them, then to hell with them.
Yeah.
But Annette sees what's going on, and I think Annette's irritated that she's focusing so much attention on her, but she's also worried.
Yeah, because she sees the weight that's coming onto her now in her current place.
But Annette even calls it out in this scene. She was just like, "So the whole reason you're here is because you need something. So what do you want?" So again, it comes back to that, you don't come and see me unless you need or want something. Because every time we've seen her go talk to Annette here throughout the series so far, it's been, "Oh, help me dig through these files and find this old map," or "Do an update on my para raid," or "Give me some advice on this," or "Give me some advice on that." And I think it's one of those things of they used to be friends, but now she's like she's being felt like she's a resource.
Yeah, but also it could be that moment of also she's trying to make it that she has someone to speak to that's away from everything to some degree, to have a pretty much somebody to outspeak to that's not part of the 86, but also it's not part of the kind of a weird middle ground area.
Mm-hmm.
So
But,
Lena leaves.
I was going to say, with Lena's mentality about the 86, being they should be treated as human, and Annette, giving into the entire rest of the Republic's view on the 86, I think it's really starting to cause a lot more strife between them.
I think Annette is entitled, is what it is, and she accepts that she's entitled. And Lena does not want any part of that. I think it is, and honestly, Annette is honestly the last link she has inside the walls. That's Lena's last person that she's really attached to, because she doesn't even seem very attached to her mother, and her uncle is starting to wear on her, and
Yeah,
I think she's
because
starting to wear on her uncle.
the connection she had with her mother pretty much wore out as soon as her father passed away.
Yeah, her
Mhm.
mother just sees her as like, well, why aren't you married? You're supposed to be, continuing the family line. She sees her as just almost, just the continuation of the family, and she doesn't see
Yeah.
her as anything else. She doesn't know why she's doing all this, and she doesn't have any respect for the fact that she wants to be in this war.
And we see more of her uncle in this case after she has gone back to her room and she has the gift and stuff sitting in the chair. Then she has a board pretty much of everybody that's in Spearhead. She pulls out
there's
off.
I hate to interrupt you, Wolf, but there's one really, really critical piece of information that comes up in the scene with Annette. So Annette calls it out and says, "So you came to see me because you want something. What is it?" And Lena says, "Just hypothetically, if the para raid has some kind of effect on a person's mind," and before she even gets to finish, Annette cuts her off and says, "Oh, then their head goes pop." She
Yeah.
goes, "Science division literally will pop the processor skull open, do a thorough examination of the brain, and throw it in the trash." And she flat out says, "And that's what we're going to do to Undertaker."
Yep.
So now we know what his fate is as soon as his 5 years are up or he dies. He's going to be, his body will be confiscated. They will examine his brain, do a data report on it, and chuck it in the trash.
And this really pushes Lena to the edge.
Yeah. And then she looks at Lena and says, "Oh, but by the way, if it's a handler that it happens to, then they just get a thorough examination and they get reassigned to another unit." Basically, they get a paper pass psych eval and get recommissioned to another unit. I'm like, that is beyond effed up.
Very true. So then it goes, as you were saying a little bit before the little information that we kind of jumped over, or I jumped over technically. In the room, we see this post or pinnacle board where she has everyone in the unit that's still alive, and also Shin's brother in the top left corner. She pulls off Daya's and Burnt Tail. I think that's what it was.
Burnt Tail, yeah.
They pull both their images off. They're in her hand. Then we're in her uncle's office. She's explaining the report. The two are in her hand. And the things that get said in this conversation really even.
Yeah.
She hates hearing it.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
she
she-
wanted the mortars. Like, they had a chance. There were mortars when they were at the original fight. So during the battle, there were mortars that if they had been able to use them, they could have, that might have helped.
Daya and Burnt Tail possibly would still be alive or just be injured right now.
And
Yeah.
and her uncle proceeds to tell her that we're not going to use the mortars because that'll draw the attention of the public, and the public doesn't want casualties.
Yeah, because it takes time to reload. So during that time frame, now you have.
They're actually manned. They are
Mhm.
physically manned by Republic soldiers. And he's like, "We're not sending Republic soldiers on the battlefield. We're sending unmanned, quote unquote, 86 drones." And he even says, he was like, how many processors you got left on the squad?" She's like, 16. He's like, "Psh, you ain't getting mortars. That's plenty of people."
And then he issues another mission about a Legion base that's under construction near their area.
Yeah, and she's pretty ticked off too because he doesn't. She's like, "You haven't even sent them new people yet.
New
You haven't
people, they
sent."
haven't had time to rest. It's one of those really one-sided conversations and it's like they want the 86 wiped out, but they also want their race to survive.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
yeah, pretty much.
But her uncle, he calls out, he says, "Look, this base is designed to support the Legion in their advance on their front." He goes, "If it's not taken out before it's fully active, the 86 are the ones that are going to suffer." So he's playing on her weakness. He's playing on her humanity. I'm like, how much more of a douche canoe can you be in this moment? You're refusing to send them support. You're refusing to send them the personnel and the weapons that they need. But you want them to go take out this base, and you're playing it on the handler, saying, if you don't do this, then you're the one condemning them to death.
Yeah. Then when she reports it to Undertaker, well, actually, the whole Spearhead gang, she even brings it up. It's like, this could be a trap, and Lena does agree, but also he brings up the point. It's like it's probably better. It's going to be better to take them out now than as pretty much what her uncle said. Take them out
Yeah.
now and be less of a problem later.
Yeah, and Shin calls out that we're fully aware of the Legion base. And I'm like, huh, okay. So I bet you anything that's where that sense of his brother was coming from.
And now, yep, she try to get some rest. Is the way the conversation ends up going. Everybody's saying goodnight. So we see the 86 have accepted her more.
She even when she talks to them about them not being able to use the borders, she feels bad about it. And they told her not to worry about it. They're like, we've never been able to use those. And they've accepted it. They've accepted the reality of the things that are going on.
Yeah, one of them even calls out and says, hell, I'd be surprised if the damn things still work at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They've been here the entire time we've been here, if not
Yeah,
longer.
if they've been sitting that long without any maintenance at that, I'm surprised you load a shell and it fires and it backfires on them.
Or just blows up in launch.
Yep. As everybody else is signing out, right before she's about to disconnect, Shin speaks up and he says, "Your voice sounds a little on edge." But the motion they give Lita for this, with the little palm hand to the mouth.
That was cute. That was adorable.
Yeah, because she starts to, she's explaining stuff to him, and she was like, and they talk a little bit about his brother, and she tells him that her conversation, she was like, his brother's conversation stayed with her, but she's like, his conversations are just as important, and then she does get like a little bit embarrassed by it.
She gets the girly reactions.
I love it because Shin was just like, you're a little on edge. He's like, can't you get sweets and stuff inside the wall? Why don't you just have a piece of chocolate and rest for the night? And she starts like giggling like a little schoolgirl. It's like, your brother treated me the exact same way.
Yeah, she mentions that he liked chocolate.
Yep.
He would give her the chocolate bars, yeah.
And she asked him if he liked chocolate as well, and he kind of was like, how he gets kind of flustered, like, you turning this on me?
If Lena does not find a way to get to that camp and give him a damn chocolate bar at some point by the end of this series, I'm gonna lose my mind here.
Shin deserves chocolate bars.
It's just funny because this whole conversation between her and Shin at the moment, as she's getting up, she's doing a little kind of a dance in a way. She has the chocolate in her hand. She lifts it up. She's unpeeling it. She's continuing the conversation. Brings up the point of, it's like, Spin talking to you is very important as well. She's blushing. Then she has a little moment of realization, and then her blushing ends up becoming more. She's like, Major. He's like, all right, good night.
And she looks at the chocolate and there's a little heart in it.
Yes. But
and it's just and she's just like, I'm falling in love with an 86 and
Yep. But what makes it, this closing scene solidifies it even more of what's going on here. When it goes to the end credit, where it shades in the heart section blue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They color it in.
What is Shin's color on his logo?
It's got the blue cloak. Yep.
This was interesting, Sue. The closing of this episode. So we didn't get a preview clip because usually they give a nice like transition. I won't say necessarily a preview clip, but a transition. You get a couple minute transition and the next one. The next one I think is going to be the raid. They're going to go raid the, raid, and I'm curious of what they find inside of it. I'm curious of what they're going to find in this camp.
I think they ended it this way because of the tones that were happening in the past 2 episodes, then what was going on in the beginning of this episode as well. And also from what Lena had to go through in this, they kind of wanted to leave it in a happy moment.
And I respect that. Like, as much as I've been a fan of the direction style of this so far, I'm perfectly okay losing that 2 to 3 minute scene.
Yeah, their direction style is very interesting, and it is very good.
And obviously, with only 11 episodes, they kind of have to cut things here and there.
Of course.
And obviously, even if whatever they may have cut from this, in the next episode, they will give us a little bit of it, a little sprinkle, so that people understand exactly what's going on. And then they'll go into whatever the episode's supposed to cover. And they've been pretty good about that. So at the end credits, the next episode's title card is will you remember me?
I don't like that. Like, that just sounds very.
Right?
I don't like
That-
that title card either because
It's very disconcerting. Maybe it'll be sweet. Maybe it'll be nice, but it's always very concerning. The show it concerns me.
it's like with this title card, it could be one of two things. A situation happens and a certain somebody just, or there could end up being a discussion that gets very not heated but very intimate
Yeah.
in some way. That if this happens, will you remember me?
Yeah.
So I guess we just have to. It's one of those wait and see moments.
Well, and another thing I love about this anime so far is looking back on the titles of the episodes is they have played the theme of the title so well in multiple aspects throughout the episodes. Like,
And
for
some of them
example,
have multiple. It's like, wait,
yeah, the episode I'm with you. You know, we could have taken that a dozen different ways, and the episode itself, she actually used the term "I'm with you" when talking to Shin about making plans to take down the Legion after the revelation of what the Black Sheep units were. But then on top of that, it was just the overall feel of the episode of the unity of the unit and everything.
yeah.
You know, I've got your back. I'm not going to let, you know, no man left behind regardless.
So, any last thoughts for this episode?
No, this was just a very hard. It was a very hard episode. It was very actually extremely sad.
It was. I agree because you got
I-
a lot of backstory, and then you got
It was
all the
and
stuff.
it was a little surprising. Like, we always prepare for someone to die in the show because
The
the
show.
grim nature of it in the show. But like it was a bit. It was sad. Like, I made audible sounds when it happened. I was like, "Oh no, this is not good. This is bad."
And then the
it was
gruesome
not.
moments that Lena is now learning of, or actually having well, pretty much second. I don't know if you would count this as first-hand nature or second-hand perspective.
She's living those experiences with them, and I think that's important. And I think that's another reason why they kind of respect her now, because she's not walking away or looking away from the casualties and
experiencing
the
it.
the true nature of this war.
Of what
know,
they go through on a
yeah.
day-to-day basis.
Because like Shin's giving her opportunities to turn off her thing and not have to deal with it, and she's telling them no, she's gonna stick with them, so they're starting to respect her more.
So with that, thanks to everybody for watching that has been sticking around since episode 1. Leave some comments, show us what your thoughts are, interact with us during live streams or even after when the video goes up. I am Rainwolf.
This is Kirito Silverheart.
This is Asuna Silverheart.
And this is Lyria.
Leave a like, comment, maybe even subscribe. Until next time.
Bye.